Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Speak and Feel English, the podcast where we explore real-life topics through meaningful conversations and natural English. I'm Mia.
And I'm Ethan. Today's topic is a powerful one. Where do you see yourself this year? It sounds simple, but when you really think about it, this question can reveal a lot about your goals, fears, and motivation.
Absolutely. Every new year feels like a blank page, but also a mirror. It reflects who we've been and who we want to become. So, Ethan, let me start with you. When someone asks, where do you see yourself this year? What comes to your mind first?
The first thing I think about is growth. Not just career growth, but personal growth too. I want to be more disciplined, more focused, and more intentional about how I spend my time. I don't just want to survive this year. I want to feel proud of how I lived it.
I love that word, intentional. For me, this year is about balance. I want to work hard, but I also want to enjoy my life more. Last year, I was always rushing, always stressed, and I realized that success doesn't mean much if you're constantly exhausted.
That's such an important realization. A lot of people think they have to sacrifice everything for success, but burnout is real. This year, I want to build habits that support my goals instead of draining me.
What kind of habits are you focusing on?
Simple ones, actually. Waking up earlier, exercising regularly, reading at least a few pages every day, and being more mindful with social media. I don't want to scroll for hours and then wonder where my day went.
I relate to that so much. I also want to be more mindful with my time. I'm setting small, realistic goals instead of huge, overwhelming ones. For example, instead of saying, I will completely change my life, I'm saying, I will improve 1% every day.
That mindset is powerful. Small changes really do add up. When you look ahead to the end of this year, how do you want to feel?
I want to feel confident. Not perfect, not flawless, just confident that I tried my best. I want to look back and say I showed up for myself, even on the hard days.
That's a beautiful goal. For me, I want to feel stable, emotionally, financially, and mentally. I don't expect everything to be figured out, but I want to feel like I'm standing on solid ground.
Do you think people put too much pressure on themselves to have everything planned?
Definitely. Social media makes it seem like everyone else has a perfect roadmap for their life, but most people are figuring things out as they go. It's okay not to have a detailed plan. Sometimes having a direction is enough.
I agree. I think it's more important to know your values than to know every step. When you know what matters to you, your decisions become clearer.
That's true. This year, one of my values is consistency. I don't want to rely only on motivation because motivation comes and goes. I want to build routines that keep me moving even when I don't feel inspired.
Consistency over perfection. I keep reminding myself of that. Some days will be messy, some days will fail, but quitting is the only real failure.
Exactly. And another thing I'm focusing on this year is relationships. I want to be more present with the people I care about. Sending a message, making a call, showing appreciation. It sounds small, but it means a lot.
That's such a meaningful goal. At the end of the day, success feels empty if you don't have people to share it with.
So, if someone listening right now feels lost and doesn't know where they see themselves this year, what would you tell them?
I would tell them it's okay to start with a feeling instead of a destination. Maybe you don't know what job you want or where you live, but you can decide how you want to feel. Calm, confident, healthy, proud. Let that guide your choices.
That's great advice. You don't need all the answers today. You just need the courage to take the next small step.
Exactly. This year isn't about becoming a completely new person. It's about becoming a more honest version of yourself. We talked about growth, balance, and building small habits. I want to go a little deeper now. When you imagine the person you want to be by the end of this year, what qualities do you see in that version of yourself?
I see someone who is calmer, someone who doesn't panic every time something goes wrong. I want to respond to problems instead of reacting emotionally. Last year, I noticed that stress controlled me more than I'd like to admit.
That takes a lot of self-awareness to say out loud. I think emotional control is one of the most underrated skills. It changes the way you experience everything: work, relationships, even your own thoughts.
Exactly. And I don't mean becoming emotionless, I mean understanding my emotions instead of being overwhelmed by them.
For me, the quality I'm aiming for is self-trust. I want to trust my decisions more. I spend too much time doubting myself, overthinking every choice, and asking everyone else for opinions.
That's interesting. Why do you think that happens?
I think it comes from fear of making mistakes, but mistakes are part of growth. This year, I want to remind myself that making a wrong choice doesn't mean I'm a failure. It just means I'm learning.
That mindset is freeing. If you remove the fear of mistakes, you suddenly feel more willing to try new things.
Exactly. And trying new things is another big goal for me this year. New experiences, new skills, maybe even new hobbies. I don't want my life to feel repetitive.
What kind of new skills are you thinking about?
I want to improve my communication skills, not just speaking, but listening, truly listening without interrupting or planning my response. I also want to learn something creative, like writing or digital design.
That's awesome. Creativity adds color to life. For me, I want to improve my financial literacy. I want to understand money better, saving, investing, budgeting, not in a complicated way, but in a practical, everyday way.
That's such a responsible goal. Financial stress affects so many people. Feeling more in control of your money can change your whole mindset.
Exactly. I don't need to be rich by the end of the year. I just want to be smarter with what I already have.
Do you think people sometimes confuse goals with pressure?
Yes, all the time. Goals are supposed to guide you, not punish you. If your goals make you hate your life, something needs to change.
I love that. I think goals should feel challenging, but also meaningful. They should make you feel excited, not constantly guilty.
So, how do you personally set goals without overwhelming yourself?
I focus on a few key areas: health, career, relationships, and personal growth. For each area, I choose one or two simple goals. That's it. No long lists.
That's smart. I do something similar. I also try to break big goals into tiny steps. For example, instead of saying, I will get in great shape, I say, I will move my body for 20 minutes a day.
Small steps feel doable, and when something feels doable, you're more likely to actually do it.
Exactly. Consistency beats intensity.
Another thing I'm working on this year is letting go of comparison. It's so easy to look at someone else's life and feel behind.
Comparison is a trap. You never see the full story, you only see highlights.
And everyone is on a different timeline. Just because someone else achieved something earlier doesn't mean you're late.
That's such an important reminder. You're not behind, you're just on your own path.
So if you could describe this year in one word, what would it be?
Intentional.
Mine would be courage. Courage to try, courage to fail, and courage to keep going. Let's talk about obstacles, because no matter how motivated we feel at the start of the year, challenges always show up. When you think about this year, what obstacles do you expect to face?
Honestly, myself. My procrastination, my excuses, my comfort zone. External problems come and go, but internal resistance is the hardest thing to overcome.
That's very real. We often blame circumstances, but a lot of the battle happens inside our own minds.
Exactly. I know there will be days when I don't feel like working, exercising, or sticking to my plans. The question is, what will I do on those days?
That's such an important question. For me, the answer is lowering the bar instead of giving up. If I can't do my full routine, I'll do a smaller version of it.
I love that approach. It removes the all or nothing mindset.
Yes, because all or nothing thinking is dangerous. If you miss one day, you start thinking, well, I've already failed, and then you stop completely.
Exactly. One bad day does not erase weeks of effort.
Another obstacle I think about is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of change.
Fear can be paralyzing, but I've learned that fear usually means you're standing at the edge of growth.
That's a powerful way to look at it. Instead of running from fear, you walk toward it.
Not blindly, but consciously, you acknowledge the fear and move anyway.
How do you personally deal with fear?
I try to break it down logically. I ask myself, what's the worst that could realistically happen? Most of the time, the worst case scenario isn't as terrifying as my imagination makes it.
That's true. Our minds love to exaggerate.
They really do. I also remind myself that regret hurts more than embarrassment. I'd rather try and fail than never try at all.
That line hits deep. I feel the same way. I don't want to reach the end of the year and wonder what could have happened if I had been braver.
Exactly. Another obstacle is distraction. Phones, notifications, endless content.
Distraction is everywhere. It's like the world is constantly competing for our attention.
This year, I want to be more intentional about protecting my focus, turning off unnecessary notifications, setting time limits, and creating quiet time.
Quiet time is underrated. Sitting with your own thoughts can feel uncomfortable, but it's where clarity comes from.
Yes, silence helps you hear what you actually want.
I also think about self-doubt as an obstacle. That voice in your head that says, you're not good enough.
That voice lies.
It really does, but it sounds convincing sometimes.
When I hear that voice, I try to challenge it with evidence. I remind myself of things I've accomplished, even small ones.
That's such a healthy practice. Writing down small wins can make a big difference.
Absolutely. Progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet and slow.
So when things get tough this year, what will keep you going?
My why. Remembering why I started. Remembering the life I want to build.
For me, it's self-respect. I want to become someone I respect, someone who keeps promises to herself.
That's powerful. Discipline is really just self-respect in action.
So far, we've talked about goals, obstacles, fear, and discipline. Now I want to talk about something that often gets overlooked, enjoying the journey. Because it's easy to become so focused on the future that we forget to live in the present.
That's true. We keep thinking, I'll be happy when I reach this goal, but then we reach it and immediately move on to the next one.
Exactly. It becomes an endless cycle. This year, I want to practice appreciating where I am right now, even as I work toward where I want to be.
I love that. Gratitude changes everything. When you're grateful, you realize you already have a lot of what you once prayed for.
Yes. And gratitude doesn't mean you stop wanting more. It just means you stop hating where you are.
That's such an important distinction.
How do you plan to enjoy the journey this year?
By celebrating small wins, not just big achievements, but tiny ones too. Finishing a workout, sticking to a routine for a week, having a productive conversation. Those moments matter.
I love that. I'm also planning to create more moments of joy on purpose. Simple things like taking walks, listening to music, spending time with people who make me laugh.
Joy doesn't always come from big events. Most of the time, it comes from ordinary moments.
Exactly. Another thing I'm focusing on this year is forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness.
That's a big one. We're often harder on ourselves than we would ever be on anyone else.
So true. I don't want to carry last year's mistakes into this year. I want to learn from them and move forward.
That's healthy. You can't change the past, but you can choose how you let it affect your future.
Do you have anything you're trying to let go of this year?
Yes, the need to please everyone. I've realized that no matter what you do, someone will always have an opinion. I want to live in a way that feels true to me.
That takes courage, but it's so freeing.
It really is. When you stop living for approval, you start living for purpose.
Another part of enjoying the journey is being patient. Growth takes time.
Yes, we live in a world of instant results, but real change is slow.
And slow doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're building something that lasts.
Exactly. I'd rather build slowly and steadily than rush and crash.
Same here. I also want to check in with myself regularly this year, asking questions like, am I okay? Do I need rest? Do I need to adjust my goals?
That's so important. Self-awareness keeps you aligned with yourself.
So, when you imagine yourself at the end of this year, what do you see?
I see someone who is more grounded, someone who knows himself better and trusts himself more.
I see someone who is proud, not because everything went perfectly, but because I didn't give up.
That's the real win.
One last question before we move to the final part. What message would you give to yourself at the beginning of this year?
I would say take it one day at a time. You don't have to have it all figured out.
I would say you're capable of more than you think.
Perfect.
As we come to the final part of this conversation, I want to reflect on everything we've talked about today. Growth, self-awareness, discipline, fear, joy, patience, and self-respect. All of these pieces connect to one simple idea: becoming a better version of yourself, step by step.
Yes, and I think one of the biggest lessons is that you don't need a perfect plan to move forward. You just need a direction and the willingness to keep going.
So let's imagine it's the last day of this year. You're sitting quietly, thinking about the past 12 months. What would make you feel proud?
I would feel proud if I could honestly say that I tried, even when it was uncomfortable, that I didn't give up on myself when things got hard.
I love that. For me, I would feel proud if I stayed true to myself, if I listened to my inner voice instead of constantly doubting it.
That's powerful. Staying true to yourself is not always easy, especially when the world is full of noise.
Exactly. That's why this year I want to choose clarity over confusion, simplicity over chaos, peace over constant pressure.
Those are strong choices. I also want to choose progress over perfection. I don't want to wait until I feel ready. I want to start before I feel ready.
Because feeling ready often comes after you begin, not before.
Exactly.
Another thing I'm reminding myself this year is that it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to outgrow old dreams and create new ones.
That's such an important point. Growth sometimes means realizing that what you wanted before is no longer what you want now.
And that doesn't mean you failed. It means you evolved.
Yes, and evolution is a good thing.
If someone listening right now feels overwhelmed by this question, where do you see yourself this year? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to stop looking at the entire year and focus on today. Ask yourself, what is one small thing I can do today that my future self will thank me for?
That's great advice. I would add, be kind to yourself. You're human. You're learning. You're growing.
You don't have to become a completely new person this year.
You just have to become a slightly stronger, wiser, and more honest version of who you already are.
And that is more than enough.
Before we wrap up, let's each share one promise we're making to ourselves this year.
I promise to keep going even when progress feels slow.
I promise to believe in myself, even on days when doubt feels loud.
Those are powerful promises.
They really are.
Thank you for joining us in this meaningful conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos. Like this episode and share it with someone who might need to hear it.
This was an English podcast from Speak and Feel English.
See you in the next episode.
Take care.